The mandate for the Hindi heartland has jolted the BJP. The writing is on the wall. Young India is hungry for growth. Snapping the BJP's winning streak, people of India have once again put the real agenda back on the table.
ये जो अभी महंगाई बढ़ रही है ना, उसके ऊपर हमें फोकस करना चाहिए.
बेरोजगारी का मुद्दा उठाना चाहिए.
किसानों का तो मुद्दा है, वो तो पहली बात है, वो तो बरोबर है. और दूसरी क्या, जॉब के लिए.
Security is more important.
Farmers is more important. I mean, like, we should pay more attention to them.
The agrarian crisis is one of the biggest challenges facing Bharat. India has witnessed over 13 massive farmer agitations in just the last 8 months. And the government's apathy to their plight tops the list of farmer woes. The other big challenge young India is grappling with is the lack of jobs. India is one of the youngest countries in the world, and the number of people entering the job market every year is only set to go up.
I think it's a healthy rate of growth, but it's insufficient clearly in terms of creating the jobs that we need. So either we need to shift some of the growth to job-creating sectors, and we haven't done that well in the past, but we need to think about what we can do to create these jobs, because otherwise we have problems ahead.
The near collapse of small and medium enterprises after the implementation of GST, rising current account deficit and volatile capital flows predict India is headed for a growth slowdown. As Mirror now debates the challenges for 2019, we ask, what is Young India's agenda? What will you vote for in 2019? Let's debate.
Well, on this channel, we've always brought you issues that we believe matter to citizens. And in the last 1 year, if you're a regular viewer, you know that on the 9 p.m. show of Mirror Now, the Urban Debate, we've repeatedly talked about the farm crisis, we've repeatedly talked about the job crisis, and we've repeatedly talked about the economy. It turns out now, from the election results we received in 5 states just last night, that these are issues that most of India is preoccupied with. They don't want to rename cities. They don't want to build temples. They want jobs. They want security. They want prosperity. Is that the main point? Is that the main challenge for India going into 2019? Like most of our experts have told us, should we be focusing on the economy that might be slowing down? Should we be focusing on creating more jobs? Should we be focusing on lending a hand to our farmers? What are the areas that are going to influence young India the most? As we go out to vote in 2019, our phone lines are open and I would like to hear from you. Joining me on the show, Zafar Islam, Radhika Ramsesan is the consulting editor of Business Standard, Vinod Sharma, political editor of the Hindustan Times, Ashutosh is a former journalist and now political analyst, Bharat Kumar Raut is a political journalist as well, Adil Singh Boparai for the Congress, Yogendra Yadav, president of Swaraj India, will join us as well. But first I want to just cut across to my colleague Mandar, who joins us out of Bhopal. Now Mandar not only travelled through Madhya Pradesh but has also been in Bhopal for this entire election process. Mandar, from your conversations pre-voting and post that, what do you think the people of the 5 states voted for, or what were the main points or issues that people voted on?
Primarily 2 issues, Faye, especially when it comes to the rural part of Madhya Pradesh. It was clearly a distress of the agrarian side, and especially the farmers were completely in a sense that they are completely neglected by the government. They are not being heard by the government, and injustice is being done with them. That was primarily the conspicuous takeaway from the rural part of the Madhya Pradesh. But the urban part, especially when we were traveling in the urban areas of most of the cities were completely disconnected with what was happening in the rural areas. But yes, the cities were struggling with most of the infrastructural issues, and at the same time the young population from the cities were worried about the jobs. Remember, in Madhya Pradesh, most of the aspiring students, as far as their career is concerned, they are not having any good opportunities in the corporate sector, or for that matter in the industries. There is no specific industries belt which is really thriving in Madhya Pradesh, and therefore most of the households are having all the young generation working elsewhere in most of the cities and not in Madhya Pradesh. That is what even the parents were concerned about.
Well, thank you for that input. Mandar, I'm just going to kick off the rest of the conversation, but please stay with us so you can come in and comment as the conversation moves forward. To welcome my guests at this point, Zafar Islam, spokesperson of the BJP. Mr. Islam, now obviously the BJP being the erudite party that you are, you must have gone back to the drawing board. I know there were several meetings that took place during the day. What is your analysis telling you? What were the issues that the people were voting for? What are the issues that you think we should be focusing on in 2019, or you would be focusing on in 2019?
Well, each state has, we will do analysis, a proper analysis. We will ascertain the reason, we'll ascertain the reason what went wrong in each state. But let me tell you a few things which is important for all of us, and I'm sure that you must have noted as well, and others have noted, that in Chhattisgarh, definitely I must admit that we are absolutely surprised, disappointed with the outcome, because we were not expecting this kind of a outcome in Chhattisgarh. We were expecting that it will be neck to neck, or maybe we'll get at least 50 seats in Chhattisgarh. But the results suggest something else, and that's a big disappointment for us. We will definitely analyze it. We will try to understand the reason that went wrong in Chhattisgarh. But away from Chhattisgarh, if you just analyze the result in Madhya Pradesh as well as in Rajasthan. See, in Rajasthan, we have seen a pattern last 20 years that every time on a rotation basis, the people of Rajasthan is giving opportunity to both Congress Party and Bharatiya Janata Party, and we have seen on a turn basis both the parties have got the opportunity to serve them. But yesterday's result, if you see, that the result is the gap is not very steep between us and Congress, 73 against 99, and even if you see the margin of victory for Congress in at least 15 to 16 seats is less than 500 votes. That suggests that yes, there are people who wanted to keep the incumbent government, and there are people who actually go by the pattern, slightly exceeded the number of people who actually wanted to keep the incumbent government. But in Madhya Pradesh, again, it's a disappointment because people are extremely happy with the incumbent government. People are extremely happy with the chief minister. They like the chief minister. He's one of the most popular chief minister and a most popular face in Madhya Pradesh. But I don't know what went wrong. And I have a list of seats where the nota vote, a lot of seats where the nota vote is more than the votes with the difference between us and the Congress Party, and it is running in, it's like 500, 121, 600, 700, 1000 or 1200 votes. These are the number of votes which the margin of victory for Congress in as many as 20 seats in Madhya Pradesh. So even though it's neck to neck, yet we feel that there are people who must be fatigue, having felt that it's a fatigue factor
effectively you're just saying it's fatigue.
They generally want to change, and that could be the reason for them to either vote for nota or they have given more vote for Congress Party. But in all these cases, at least two things I would say, that we acknowledge the fact that we have lost the election. We bow our head in front of the people of all these three states. Thank them for giving us the opportunity. We have been given the opportunity by these people, and we also thank them for the opportunity. Not only opportunity, the way we have lost also is a lesson for us. That maybe
all right, Zafar Islam.
Few people who have not voted for us. And third, of course, we will seek their guidance to give us an opportunity to serve them in future as well. But one question which I would like to raise,
but very quickly, I have to bring in the rest of my panelists.
One question, Faye, but the kind of promises Just last 10 seconds. The kind of promises have been made by the Congress party, and I must ask, Adil is here, I must ask him, and I think he must respond to the people of this country that the kind of promises that they have made in terms of waiving of the debt of the farmers, then how much debt they are likely to waive off. That is one question. The second is that whether this resources is enough in this state to
To be
meet
able
their
to do that.
obligation,
All right,
what the
fair enough,
commitment they
fair
have
enough.
made. And
We asked
if
that
they,
question
they
last
do
night as
go
well. All
ahead
right,
with all
Zafar
the
Islam,
debt
let
to
me bring in the
service that,
rest of my panelists, please. I just want to
will
point
they
out
curtail the
to my
welfare scheme
audience,
which has
Zafar
been announced by
Islam,
the
Zafar
Bharatiya
Islam,
Janata Party?
okay. I want to point out to my audience that 15,20,446 people voted nota in these 5 states altogether. The highest nota was in Rajasthan, where 5,42,295 people voted nota. In Chhattisgarh, 4,67,000, Telangana 2,82,000, and in Chhattisgarh, sorry, I made that mistake. Madhya Pradesh was the highest, then Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, and Telangana. I just want to read out some of the things our audience is saying to us, and I think this is important. Praveen Sinha has said, in a developing country, India needs agendas of development, good health, education, and jobs. Abhishek Gaur says, we need jobs, better security, and most importantly, freedom of speech and the right to express ourselves. Dinesh Chand says, I appreciate the BJP endorsing self-employment, but I think they should also work on creating jobs. So it does seem like jobs keeps coming up, and I do know that our audience tends to be a very urban audience. But let me open this up right now to our senior journalists who are here. I will start with Vinod Sharma. Vinod Sharma, do you believe that the agenda for 2019 should be jobs, economy, and farmers, and perhaps not the other things that were being talked about? And we had Zafar Islam say that it was largely just fatigue and anti-incumbency that played out.
No, if I beg to differ with Mr. Zafar Islam, if this is his analysis, I think then the course correction would be problem vis-a-vis the BJP. This mandate has gone against the BJP. I repeat, gone against the BJP and less for the Congress, for the following reasons: agrarian distress, unemployment, the impact of GST on small businesses, and corruption at the second and third and fourth tier of administration. The delivery system deceived the people, lock, stock and barrel, all through the final phases of Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan's tenure. Mr. Chauhan is indeed a popular leader, but some of the schemes that he initiated, some of the good schemes that he initiated floundered for the simple reason that the delivery system did not reach the benefits to the people. I will give you examples. You see, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana was a popular yojana in Madhya Pradesh, and people got 150,000 rupees in 3 installments. But for every installment, they had to pay some money to the patwari, some money to the other level of revenue officials. So I think that the mandate is very clear. People want employment. The farmer wants prices for his produce. The small businesses want relief. They want to revive their businesses. But because their economies are intertwined with that of the...
Yes. Yes, go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Sharma.
Because the economies of the rural economy and the small town economies are intertwined, when the farmer doesn't have the buying capacity, he wouldn't be adding to the business of the small shop owner in the nearby township. So the issue is very clear. People have given their mandate against the BJP in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh and in Chhattisgarh.
Okay, so let me bring in Mr. Rao, if I may.
Not as much for the Congress.
Not so much for the Congress. So the Congress hasn't won as much as the BJP has lost. That's what we have Vinod Sharma telling us. But Mr. Bharat Kumar Rao, if you just pop up the numbers that Madhya Pradesh actually played out, we'll see Zafar Islam was right about the fact that it was neck and neck. And for a chief minister defending a 3-term anti-incumbency, Shivraj Singh Chauhan didn't do that badly. So do you then agree with Zafar Islam that the work that the BJP had done was not so bad, that it was probably just fatigue?
See, at the end of the election, for last 3 days, I have been talking to many people in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. Since the parliament session is on, I met my very many old friends on phone in last 3 days, and I've been talking to them, generally asking them the basic reasons for this the downfall of BJP. And one unanimity about the verdict was that the vote has gone against the BJP. That is a solid reason. People did not wanted change. And if since it is Congress, they voted for Congress. If it was something else, they would have voted for that party. So it is as simple as they wanted to see the back of the sitting governments. And the reasons are various. To coming to this conclusion, the reasons are various. Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. In Rajasthan, basically it was the arrogance of the state government, right? Beginning from the chief minister to the Patwari. There's so much of arrogance that MPs and other workers are saying that the government was not at all people oriented. Nobody was bothered about what people think. That was the basic reason there. In Madhya Pradesh, I can say that it was an issue of farmers and basically unemployment of youth. That played a very, very vital card. Nobody was complaining against the chief minister. In Chhattisgarh, it was further different that people were against the Naxalite activity, and they believe and they want to prove that the chief minister did not take stern action against the Naxalite activity. Every time he used to show a finger at the center.
Yes.
Because that time, for his first 2 terms, there was Congress government in the center. But in last term, what happened, since Modi was in saddle in Delhi, he could not blame Modi either. So he was isolated and he had to take the whole blame on him, and that played a very, very vital role in this election, and that's it is a vote against the BJP. Yeah.
All right, a question to Ashutosh as well. Ashutosh ji, the campaigning that happened, specifically the campaigning that was done by Mr. Adityanath, Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, was about temples, it was about changing names of cities, it was about caste, it was about Gotra. Was that line of campaign rejected? And we know that Adityanath's success rate was 30%. Of all of the constituencies that he campaigned in, the BJP lost 70% of those constituencies and only won in 30%. That's not a great campaign track record. Did the voters reject that line?
See, Faye, I think Yogi Adityanath has been a disaster for the BJP. And sooner the BJP realizes it's better for them. And I'll give 3 examples. One example is just after Modi became the Prime Minister, in 2015, there were 11 assembly election, the bypolls in the 11 constituencies, and he was made the chief campaign manager. And BJP lost all the 8 seats, The second time, when he became the chief minister, as a chief minister, he lost Kairana, he lost Phulpur, and he lost his own constituency, Gorakhpur. So if he had been that influential, he should have won at least Gorakhpur for himself. He could not. And what kind of campaign he's doing? He's saying that you got Ali, we got Bajrangbali. He's even giving caste to Hanuman. So if a man like this, if he is the face of the Hindutva, if he is the face of Bharatiya Janata Party, then only God can save us. And I tell you exactly what has gone wrong. It is not only against Yogi Adityanath kind of campaigning. It is not anti-incumbency against the 3 powerful chief ministers, Raman Singh and Shivraj Singh Chauhan and Vasundhara Raje. They are not ordinary chief ministers. They are very, very powerful chief ministers, have bases in their own states. Something which has gone drastically wrong. The point number 1 is unemployment. The second is the rural distress. And I'll just give one example, the data, and which is frightening data. The BJP has been talking about that how they have built the rural household, how they have built the rural roads and all that. But if you see the data carefully, the farm price growth in 2013 to 14, and compare that with the 2017-18 data, you will realize that in 2013-14, the farm price growth rate was 12.56%. It has come down drastically by 80% in 2017-18. It has come down to 2.1%. 2.07. And again, the non-farm, the price growth has come down from 4.50 to minus 2.13. The rural wages, which is very, very important, the rural wages has come down from 15.87% to 5.20%. That means what? That you build roads, good enough. You electrified villages, good enough. But what about my roti? Mera roti kahan hai? Mere ko khane kahan? My salary is not going up. My expenses are going high. Then how will I survive? So if you build roads, but if the farmers, if the rural folks, if they are not getting income, then how will they survive? It is this backlash which has gone against Shivraj Singh Chauhan. Shivraj Singh Chauhan has done tremendous job as a chief minister, because after Punjab and Haryana, if any state can boast of the green revolution, it is Shivraj Singh Chauhan, where the growth rate has been 14 point something.
Right, I want to bring in Adil Singh Bopra of the Congress. Adil, if we discuss now what our panelists have put out as the main issues for India in 2019, and perhaps now that the Congress is going to build 3 state governments at least, these will be the main issues for these state governments as well. The agrarian crisis, unemployment, the economy, and specifically for a state government, corruption at tier 2 and 3. Let's go one by one. What is the Congress's solution right now for the agrarian distress in the 3 states that you will take over in?
Well, firstly, Faye, let me use this opportunity to thank the voters of the states of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh for giving us an opportunity to serve them. And on behalf of the Congress Party, we assure them that we are going to deliver on the commitments made in our manifesto. This is point number 1. Point number 2, coming to the issue of agrarian distress, we are going to be looking at increasing the MSP and debt waiver. Let's understand there are structural issues which need to be addressed when it comes to agriculture. There have been record high farmer suicides in this country. There is the problem of the farmers not even getting the MSP. So we are also going to be focusing on ensuring that the farmers are... Sorry, please.
Debt waiver in how many states?
Yes. Well, debt waiver in all states. Debt waiver in all states. And another issue which I would like to touch upon, and which has been the focus of the Congress Party, is that despite the government fixing an MSP, when a farmer actually goes to the mandi, he's not able to get that. So we are also going to be looking at legally ensuring that the trader pays the farmer his MSP. So let's assume for a situation, if the MSP for a certain crop is 2,000, the farmer ends up just getting about 1,500 rupees, and that 500 is pocketed by the trader. So therefore, the Congress Party will come out with a legal mechanism to ensure that the farmers actually get the full MSP. This is number 1. Number 2, debt waiver, like I said earlier. And number 3, we're going to focus on creating food parks in every district so that we can bring the market to the consumer, to the farmer. We have to ensure that the farmer gets maximum remuneration for his crop. These are issues which need to be addressed. Reduction of input costs. We're going to articulate our stand before the GST Council that you have to do away with taxation on agricultural products, taxation on tractors, taxation on other forms which are required in terms of agriculture. These are all issues which we're going to really work on.
Okay, no GST on agricultural inputs, higher MSP, debt waiver in all 3 states, and food parks in every district. All right, let's go one by one again. The debt waiver, do we know how much that is going to cost us in all 3 states, and where the money is going to come from?
Well, we're going to work out the modalities. Let's understand, under the BJP, thousands of crores were spent on propaganda. You saw wasteful expenditure. You saw profligacy of their ministers. We're going to ensure that the funds are used properly. We're going to ensure that leakages are plugged. We're going to ensure that there is zero corruption. And we're going to allocate that money towards the farmers. Today, if there is one issue which the farmers of this country, and we're predominantly an agricultural community, an agricultural country, is the farmer crisis. So we have to allocate funds to the farmers. If the government can write away loans,
so you're saying you're going to plug leakages and find the money, but we still don't know how much it's going to cost.
Of course, this is just one step in the overall issue.
Yes. Next question, the legal MSP that you're going to make sure...
I have a question.
Yes, I'm sure you do, Zafar Islam. I will come to you. The legal method in which you will make sure the MSP gets to the farmer. What is that legal method?
When you are discussing about farmer, when you are discussing about debt waiver, I have a question to ask.
All right,
I
Zafar
think people
Islam,
of
what's
India
your
must
question?
know
What's your
what
question,
is their
Zafar
game plan
Islam?
is. My only question,
Mr.
to
Zafar Islam.
Congress spokesperson Adil, please spell out. No, just a second. Don't say Zafar Islam. I'm asking question. Respond. All I'm asking you, you know what is the size of the budget of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Rajasthan? How much debt waiver can it be accommodated? Knowing fully well what is the size of the budget, how much headroom you have available? Will you, if you accommodate the entire, first of all, you know how much the
You've asked
obligation
your question,
when you
now
have
can I
committed to
respond?
waive all the debt? Do you know
Okay,
the
all
number?
right.
You
So
can't
allow him
repeat
to
your question
respond.
again and
Do you know
again
the
using
number?
different
And
phrases
whether
and
if you do
expressions. I'll
that,
answer your
will you
question.
sacrifice the interest of the common man or the poor?
Okay, allow him to answer.
Please.
Go ahead, Adil, please answer.
Well, Mr. Islam, we are cognizant of the budgetary constraints, but rest assured the Congress party will work out the modalities. This is a commitment. We're a sincere
Sir, I'm
party.
asking a
We're
number.
not like
Don't
Mr.
give me
Modi
this.
who goes
This
around
answer is
deceiving
not,
every section of
this
society.
is not an answer.
No,
Can
not
I
at the
please
same
make
time,
my
please.
point?
You
Can I,
will
if
end
you,
up
No,
missing
please,
you know,
Mr.
in the
Islam,
past 4.5
Islam,
years, the
don't even know the
BJP
number.
has
talk over
lowered
each
the
other.
You don't even
discourse
know
to
the
such an
number.
extent
You have
that today
just
they're facing
misled
a
the people.
revulsion from the people of this country. And they're still not able to understand. Their arrogance and hubris has still not diminished.
Well,
It is still not diminished.
Adil,
I
it
haven't
doesn't
completed
change
my
the
point,
fact.
but you continue to incessantly interrupt.
Okay, it doesn't change the fact that the Congress did promise loan waivers in 3 states without fully understanding where the money is going to come from and what that's going to cost. Now, I will make that point, but you were going to explain to us how you will legally ensure that the MSP reaches the farmer and the trader doesn't pocket it on the way. How are you going to do that?
Well, let's understand there is the APMC Act. There are there is the executive domain through which we're going to ensure the Mandi board, the state corporation boards which oversee, the agencies which oversee lifting of paddy and of other crops. We're going to focus on all these areas, and we're going to ensure the state agricultural department will ensure that the traders get their dues. And if they don't get what the MSP is prescribed for, legal action will follow. Punitive action will follow. Today, one of the biggest problems, I come from an agricultural background, let me tell you, even if the MSP is X, the farmers are not getting that X. Forget getting C2 plus 50%. Forget the Swaminathan Commission. You're not even getting that pittance which the government of India has actually prescribed for. Therefore, all the food procurement agencies, all these systems have to be streamlined, and the traders have to be mandated to pay the farmers what the MSP
absolutely no answer.
is. Because,
right.
you know, when the farmers
Okay,
are not able to get the
I've heard out the
MSP, they
politicians.
go
Hang
to
on,
the
gentlemen.
commission agents,
Yes.
they
These are
take
all
loans
crap.
at the rate of
Okay,
24.
okay, hold on.
Pointed answer.
Mandar Fanse, you've heard the answer.
answer.
One second. Mandar, you've heard the answer that Adil gave us about the APMCs. Are you convinced?
Faye, just a day back, Mr. Rahul Gandhi has also spoken about the same issue on the top of the agenda on Congress, and especially when he was talking about the complexity of this problem, and then he was insisting that they will have to work very closely with the farmers. That shows it all, that how complex this problem is. And when if Mr. Adil is assuring us that the MSP will be having that kind of a legal immunity to it, then of course it will definitely change the situation which is existing right now. But more, I want to point out to Mr. Vinod Sharma's points, especially that is very important. All these states, especially in Madhya Pradesh, the one thing which was also annoying the people across from rural to city was the corruption. Even in APMCs, that corruption was rampant, and how Congress is going to deal with that corruption issue is also one of the most important things to be asked.
Yes, and that is a question I will get to. I'm just reading out some of the responses again. Moksh has written in saying people of India are peaceful and secular. They don't want shenanigans imposed on them by anyone. That's an interesting comment. We also have Ishan Ghosh, who says the Congress will need to prove that it is trustworthy by fulfilling its promises in MP, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan. And that's important because the people of the country before 2019 are going to be watching very closely these 3 states to see how the Congress does and if there are any changes. From Ashutosh, do you have a response to the conversation we just had? At the end of the day, the danger of governments coming in and making promises that they perhaps don't fully know how to, how to respond to once they form the government?
I'm afraid that even the Congress do not have a solution, because the problem at the rural level is extremely very dangerous. It has acquired a dangerous proposition. In the last 3-4 years, you have seen how the farmers has come to Delhi from Tamil Nadu and other places, and it is getting very explosive. I think the Madhya Pradesh government has a kind of a model, because what Shivraj Singh Chauhan has done, he worked on the two things. One is increasing the irrigation network, and secondly the electrification. He ensured electrification to these areas. It is because of this the production in Madhya Pradesh about the wheat and the soybean has doubled and trebled. The problem was that the food grains which was produced, there was no taker, there was no infrastructure. So I think other than improving the irrigation network and ensuring the supply of electrification, there is a need for a new agricultural reform, or you can say agricultural revolution in this country, and one has to link agriculture with the industry. The failure of the Shivraj Singh Chauhan's government was that it could not link agriculture with the industry, and it is because of this the prices of the food grains, there was overproduction, but there was no corresponding the prices for the food grains, and it is because of these reasons that the farmers' anger went against the Shivraj Singh Chauhan. I think the produce which is there in the market, that has to be bought, that has to be given certain amount of prices so that the farmers can sustain. That can only happen if industry is linked with agriculture.
Right, Mr. Raut, I saw your hand go up. If you want to comment, go ahead, please.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that the new governments in 3 states have huge tasks to perform, huge tasks, and that in a very limited period of 3 months, because their performance, though they are elected for 5 years, their major test is happening within 3 months. And within 3 months, they will have to show a palpable difference, palpable improvement in the functioning of the government. I don't know how Congress is going to do that, because now people have pinned a huge optimism on these new governments. They have skyrocketed hopes from this government, particularly this support prices and the reduction of corruption, and more than that, employment for the youth, educated and uneducated, skilled and unskilled laborers. I think the governments will have to take immediate action. And as I rightly asked the question, from where the funds will come from. They will have to make arrangement for the funds. Otherwise, schemes will be floated, schemes will be implemented, the inaugurations will happen, and if nothing happens in the initial months, the whole thing will go first, and that will be reflected in the Lok Sabha elections. The first task of the new governments is to win the Lok Sabha elections from their respective states. How are they going to meet this challenge? That is the issue.
Well, Zafar Islam, here's my question to you. Out of the 19 ministers that Vasundhara Raje had in her government, 13 lost the elections. They lost their seats. Now, that is scarring evidence. And you said people were not unhappy. This was just anti-incumbency, they were just fatigued. But this doesn't sound like a state that was not unhappy. This sounds like a state that was deeply unhappy. Now, my question to you is this. Going forward, will the BJP drop the call for Mandir and start looking at things like jobs and corruption and unemployment and agrarian crisis instead? Or will you continue to call for a Mandir? Will you continue to use that line going forward in 2019 as well?
Well, as far as the Bharatiya Janata Party is concerned, our agenda is absolutely clear. We have been always focusing on these issues which you just listed out. Be it job creation, be it developmental activities, be it all the issues which you have listed. But Mandir is an issue which we have always been very close to everyone's heart. It's not only Bharatiya Janata Party, it is close to every Indian. And that is something which has been stated in our manifesto that we will build. I mean, it's something which is to do with faith. And it is not a political agenda for us. We do not do politics on basis of Mandir and Masjid. Yes, this is an issue which is dear to us. We will always going forward, that issue will remain important for us, and that is going to remain. But the issues where we are focused is the development, and that is the agenda we have. That is the agenda we will continue to have even in future. But let me ask you one thing. The Congress spokesperson just didn't respond to me. Here we have on your channel, on your panel, you have somebody, Mr. Yadav, who is a specialist in farm sector. Even ask him, and whether the commitment made by the Congress party will they be able to meet this commitment?
Because okay, fair enough. Let me ask the question. Yes, okay, hang on. Yogendra Yadav and Radhika ji have joined the conversation.
And secondly,
I want to reply to Mr.
No,
Zafar
but last line was
Number one, the BJP always takes its cue from the RSS, and the RSS has flagged the Mandir issue very, very prominently. There is going to be a Dharam Sansad along with the Kumbh Mela in Allahabad in January. And that is where you're going to hear the pitch getting shriller and shriller. And right now, I think the BJP is much more susceptible to the RSS's pressure than it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, Mr. Modi could say, yeah, okay, he could be cock-a-hoop about Vikas and jobs and Shusashan and whatnot. Right, at this point, I see the RSS dictating the agenda more and more, and Mandir is very central to the RSS's agenda. Mandir, cow, love jihad, and you have the works. So I do not see the BJP being able to get out of this Hindutva trap. Yes. And if anything, it's going to be more and more pronounced in its agenda in the coming months.
All right, Yogendra Yadav joins us right now, and Zafar Islam is right. Yogendra Yadav is a farming expert. He's an expert in the agricultural problems that we have right now. Mr. Yadav, to bring you up to date on what you might have missed so far, Zafar Islam talked about the fact that he believed that the losses to the BJP in the 3 states were actually just fatigue and anti-incumbency, and people are not unhappy with those state governments or the central government. And we then had the representative of the Congress party, Adil Singh Boparai, talk about, or I asked him what the solutions the Congress would offer to the agrarian problem, unemployment and corruption. Now, to the agrarian problem, he said they will legally ensure that MSP actually reaches the farmer and MSP is increased through the APMCs. He said food parks will be built in every district. He also said that they will appeal to the GST Council to remove GST and tax from all inputs into farm, from tractors and all of the other farm equipment. And then he talked about the debt waiver. I want to point out that no one in the Congress so far has been able to tell us clearly how much the debt waiver in 3 states will cost and where that money is going to come from. So, Mr. Yadav, your review, first of all, on the Congress and its ability to fulfill these promises.
Faye, I heard the last comment made by the BJP spokesperson. It's interesting that what Congress should have been answering is a question being directed to me. But anyway, let me give my opinion. My own sense is that Congress's record in fulfilling its own promises with the farmers has not been good at all. If you look at what the Congress promised in Punjab and what it has delivered, the gap is about as big as it is in Maharashtra, which is a BJP-ruled state. But today, when Congress gets elected now that general election is only 4 months away, now that the issue of the farmer has been firmly placed on the center stage of national politics, I think Congress doesn't have too many options. If they fail to deliver on their promises, and these are not promises made on just television studios, these are promises contained in Congress manifesto across these 3 states. So if the Congress fails to deliver them, fails to do what can be done within 3-4 months, then obviously Congress would lose legitimacy across the farming community. So this is a test for the Congress. The lesson from yesterday is a lesson for Congress as much for BJP is the first and foremost, real issues are back on the center stage of national politics. Mandir doesn't work. It's Jawan Kisan. It is the question of employment and the question of agrarian distress, which is very much at the center. The lesson for Congress is you will have to perform or perish. Within 3-4 months, you have to begin to show something which is tangible. What the Congress spokesperson told you, these are all sensible things. The question is to see whether they actually deliver on it. The other lesson for Congress is mere Gathbandhans are not the answer, as we saw in Telangana. There has to be some promise, some hope, some narrative which the Congress is yet to generate. The lessons for the BJP, on the other hand, are that you cannot win elections merely by spin doctoring, by capturing media, by overspending, outspending your opponent by 10 times or more. Mr. Modi may be popular, but his popularity is on the wane, and he cannot flip the results all by himself. And that BJP needs to address real issues. So all these are very positive developments for the country, no matter who gains, who benefits. The real point is that for once, real agenda has been placed, and there is a possibility, and it has never happened before, Faye, there is a possibility of a parliamentary election in this country being fought on the issues of rural distress and farming communities. Nothing can be better news for this country.
But really well said, and I'm going to take this back now to the politicians. Adil, if you want to respond to what Yogendra Yadav said, and also what what Bharat Kumar Raut said, the Congress is going to have to perform in some way in the next 3 months in order to be taken seriously.
No, well, I tend to agree with Professor Yogendra Yadav. I think he's spot on that the real issues of this country have been brought to center stage. Mr. Modi, with his rhetoric, with his politics of deceit, with I, me, myself, this kind of rhetoric, the country is rejected, and it's resoundingly rejected it. I think today we face a challenge, and I say this with utmost sincerity. Today there is a BJP which wants to push and propagate a virulent ideology which is determined to destroy every institution in this country, which believes in post-truth and rhetoric and media manipulation to manufacture opinion. And on the other hand, the alternative, which is the Congress party, which actually focuses on the real issues, whether it's employment generation, whether it is lifting the people of this country and the farmers from this agricultural morass, whether it is about cleansing electoral politics, or it's about eradicating corruption.
Okay,
these are issues which we're going to focus
so counter question,
on.
if I may, Adil.
I assure on behalf of the Congress party.
What are your solutions for unemployment and corruption?
Well, as far as corruption is concerned, let's understand, and let me link it with the agricultural problem. There was a nexus in all these BJP-ruled states, and especially Madhya Pradesh, a nexus between BJP politicians and the mafia which used to operate in mandis, where they used to deliberately not pay farmers their dues. So we have to break this nexus between the bureaucrats, the politicians, and the food mafia, this cartel which operated in every mandi. This has to be broken, number one. Number two, we saw the case of Vyapam, how the BJP played with the future of lakhs of students, how more than 50 prosecutions.
You know what? I love this about politicians. Whenever I ask you for a solution, you start listing out problems of the other party. I know the problems of the other party. I'm a fully functioning journalist and I read a lot. Adil, what are your solutions? When you want to break the corruption and the nexus, how will you do it? If you want to create jobs, how will you do it? What is the solution that you're walking into these states with?
Well, number one, we have to give incentives to the informal sector. Okay. Because this is where the major chunk of people get employed. We have to focus on Skill India. We have to focus on actually ensuring that vocational training is given to students. We have to improve education. We have to bring industries and generate jobs in areas which are close. And the Congress party will certainly focus on this. Coming to the issue of corruption, we've got people, we've got honest leaders. We're going to put honest bureaucrats in charge of departments. We're going to supervise their work. And there is going to be a zero tolerance policy towards corruption. We will break the nexus of this corruption. We're going to break the backbone of this corruption which was rampant between the RSS, the BJP, and the criminal syndicates.
Ashutosh will respond. Ashutosh, your review of the Congress's solutions.
And lastly, Faye, I want to touch upon a very important issue, which is about social cohesion. The BJP has destroyed the syncretic culture of this country. And this is very important because as long as there's no social stability in this country, there cannot be economic development.
All right. So let Ashutosh respond. And Ashutosh has functioned as a journalist for a very long time, tracking both parties and governments. One second. Ashutosh, respond to two things. One second, if I may. Respond to two things. First of all, Zafar Islam saying that the temple is not something that the BJP uses for politics. It is an emotive issue for every Indian, and so they will continue to push for the mandir. Secondly, Adil, offering us solutions of corruption and offering us solutions for jobs. Your response to both of these?
See, when the BJP talks about that they don't want to use the temple as a political issue, I can only laugh at that. It's as simple, because the whole growth of the Bharatiya Janata Party since 85 onwards has been only because of these emotive issues and around Ram Temple and other issues, like why they need to raise the issues like the cow slaughter, about the love jihad, Romeos and all that. It's very clear. I don't need to get more into that. The second point, when Congress talks about the corruption, I have a serious issue with that. Congress has a background. Take the example of the Bofors or the last 3 years of the Manmohan Singh government. The Manmohan Singh government lost out badly in 2014. It's because of the corruption charges. And if the Congress wants me to believe that once they are in the power, there will be zero tolerance to the corruption, I can only say good luck to you, but I do not believe you in 1%. And the third point which I want to make is very, very clear. In 2019, Congress has got very little time to do anything except the loan waiver. They can't do anything more. They cannot bring out any revolution into the agrarian sector. But 2019 election will be all about how Mr. Modi has delivered in the last 5 years. It is the Modi and the Modi government which has to answer, like the Manmohan Singh government had to answer in 2014. So it will be verdict on Manmohan Singh government.
On the Modi government, yes. We've run out of time on this conversation, but we're going to keep having these conversations. I'll tell you why. Because going into the 2019 elections, we want to continue to focus on the things we believe matter to the citizens of India. And that is, those things are jobs, farmer crisis, corruption that we encounter every day when we go to government offices and we deal with government officers, and the economy. The fact that today, as you sit at home, you realize that you haven't been given very big raises this year. Or the Diwali season was good, but not very buoyant. And the fact that most of our economic experts are telling us to be cautious and worry about the next 6 months. I believe the people of India will force our politicians to focus on these things, will force them to come up with real solutions, will force them to focus on these things. And so will we. Thanks for watching.